I love it. I love all the aspects of the fishing industry. I love the people involved, the product that it is, and the enjoyment that people get from not only eating fish, but also catching it and seeing it and being immersed in the marine environment. There's also a bit of a shadow over the industry, as from a commercial point of view, there's the regulatory burden's high, the pressures to running a business are high.
My world right now and for the past 2 years can probably be best summarised as a big chaotic mess, largely because of the white spot disease that our farm experienced and what we've had to do to rebuild our business.
So some of the critical issues that we see at Seafood Industry Australia for both wild catch and aquaculture really firmly focus around issues of social licence and building trust with the community. Biosecurity, really big issue, and resource access, that's another huge one. So they're the really 3 main big issues that are driving our activities.
There's a lot of people who want to access the fisheries resource. There's a lot of problems in the aquatic environment. There's a lot of issues surrounding the marketing of fish. So we operate in a world where we've lost the bulk of the fish habitat in Australia, except for the north. We've got multiple barriers to fish passage. We've got huge losses of our shellfish reefs. We've got poor water quality. And from that, we're still hoping to produce the same amount of fish so that we can access them both as a recreational sector and as a commercial sector.
Well, I think that the world that we're living in is pretty challenging because our environment is changing in so many dramatic ways. Not only is the catching environment changing in significant ways, but our markets are changing in pretty dramatic ways. Trade wars that we're experiencing at the moment are going to have a significant influence over our export sectors. So, for me, it's a very challenging world that we live in, and one that absolutely demands some form of strategic planning and scenario planning.
FRDC's R&D plan process has commenced. As part of that listening process, we're out hearing from everyone about what their needs are for the future. A part of this is making sure that we are listening to voices that we haven't heard in the past, making sure that minorities and other groups all around Australia are getting their voice heard in the strategy planning process.
I've really enjoyed the process so far, using scenarios to think about the future and good scenarios and bad scenarios and what we might need to do to get to the good place and what we need to do to avoid going down to a scenario that's not desirable. Also bringing together people from so many different sectors. We've got rec fishers, commercial fishers, researchers, government people, like all the different environmentalists as well. Like everyone's here in the room, so as a group we're learning from each other, but we're also helping put that experience on the table to figure a better way forward.
I've got to admit I'm really enjoying the process. It's a very different process than usual. I like the fact that we're looking at scenarios and starting outwards and working back. Often we do it the other way around, don't we? We look at it small and then we try and extrapolate out and wonder why we're not able to respond effectively.
Knowing that there is a way to channel, a mind map and distill it down into formation of a strategic plan is going to be immensely beneficial.
The process has been very staged and stepped. What I've seen, which has been really good to be a part of, is a very open process, certainly with no intended outcome, and a lot of thought put into how we might envisage what the future looks like and then how we need to prepare. So we've gone through the process of looking at drivers, influences, where the uncertainty is, what different visions, what different futures what might be ahead of us. And then today we're bringing that back into, given those different futures, what do we need to do today to plan to get the optimal result for our marine environment and a sustainable seafood industry in Australia?
Well, the way we're going about it is actually, I looked at it from the beginning and it looked like this is not going to be as useful as I thought it was going to be, and I'm actually now quite surprised. I think it's actually bringing to mind scenarios of the future that I think are challenging to think about, and once we start to think about them, then trying to come up with those solutions, I think it places the sector in a better place in the future, because we're trying to think about a future that, well, in some of those situations we hope never occurred.
I think the plan thus far, it's taking an interesting approach. I think acknowledging the complexity and those uncertainties is a really important thing to do. I think often when we do planning, we actually integrate a lot of assumptions right from the beginning. And so if we kind of create those boxes of these are the areas where we're looking, things that don't fit inside those boxes often get left out. So I think starting in this way and acknowledging the complexity, getting that map that we all carry in our heads out there in a common way, and developing that appreciation for it is a very important starting point.
Yes, I definitely find it useful. More so insightful. It's an area that I've not been, it's like opening up a whole new world. It's like going scuba diving for the first time. It's something that I know this conversation is going on, but just had no idea. So yes, it's been very useful for me to really start to think about that, and how I can actually use that within my business, and starting to think these ways of really what's going to happen in the future and how we can bring that into our industry.
What I've learned is that as an industry, we need to take a different approach moving forward, and we can no longer rest on a level of environmental science and the economic impact that our industry has.
People are uncomfortable with change, but change is inevitable.